LeBron James' return to Cleveland next Thursday could be so problematic the game actually comes with instructions. The message from the Cavaliers to their fans is this: no profane or vulgar clothing. Obscene signs will be removed. There will be no plastic beer bottles. Vendors will instead pour beverages into cups for you. Increased Quicken Loans Arena security will include uniformed and undercover officers near the Heat bench and along the way to the visitors' locker room. Cavaliers officials want an energized but safe environment. That's a message they plan to send to fans in a media campaign next week.
There's LeBron James, the Cavs' all-time leading scorer, led them to their best record in club history. Did it twice, actually, topping it twice at least, but hell hath no fury like a city scorned. Cavs Heat tonight. Quite a reception awaits LeBron James as he shoots around and gets ready for the game tonight. Mark Schwartz now joins us from outside the arena in Cleveland. Mark, we expect a raucous crowd. Of course, we also know from local authorities they have to at least be on guard for the possibility of a dangerous crowd. How different will tonight be from a normal NBA game?
Well, Brian, the weather out here in Cleveland is raw, it's bitter, and there's nearly 100% chance of rage. And that's why the NBA and the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Cleveland Police Department have put together security, the likes of which Quicken Loans Arena has not seen before. Now, there have been metal detectors here for 5 years, but fans will pass through those so there's no batteries in their hands. They won't have any plastic bottle projectiles because they'll be served their beverages in cups. And there will be more uniformed and plainclothes officers than have been at the queue, many of them aligned near the Heat bench and along the tunnel to the Heat locker room. And I'll tell you, this is a situation where I've talked to a lot of people. No one can remember any more venom and vitriol directed toward a visiting player. So I asked Cavs Vice President of Communications, Tad Carper, how does an organization prepare for something that's never happened before?
Well, it is a unique situation. It really is, and that's why we started working with the league and all the local authorities way back in training camp to develop a plan and consider what the special concerns are, special considerations we need to make in order to operate the events successfully. It's not something that's going to be overly obvious, I think, because we don't want to create a police state. We don't want to be overbearing with it, but at the same time, we want to be very effective with it.
What would this mean for the city and for the organization if an unfriendly, hostile event takes place during the game tonight?
Well, I think it potentially casts a shadow over an otherwise great kind of night that's potentially going to unfold here. And certainly there's always the chance that somebody's going to do something silly that's going to embarrass themselves. The problem is that potentially embarrasses an entire city.
Give me a good hard signal. I have spoken to the Cleveland Police Department, Brian, and one woman said to me, look, there's always going to be a bad apple, but we'll find that apple either inside or outside. She asked me, have you ever been to a Steelers-Browns game? And I said that I had. She said, did anything bad ever happen there? I said, absolutely not. She said, well, nothing's going to happen tonight. I'll tell you, Brian, if the Cleveland Cavaliers can muster the same kind of confidence that the Cleveland Police Department has, then this 92nd consecutive sellout crowd will go out pretty happy tonight around 10:30.
All right, that'll be good. Mark Schwartz, safe right now, really in no danger whatsoever outside Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland. Thank you, Mark.
The thought by many was that LeBron James embarrassed Cleveland by the way he left. The decision? Thought by all was that he embarrassed the Cavaliers in his return.
After the game, James said he was exhausted from all the emotion that he inevitably had to expend on his return. But think about how tired the Cavaliers were trying to stop him, particularly in that third quarter. Rachel Nichols was in Cleveland.
He threw his chalk, joked with old teammates, and hit shot after shot from favorite spots on a floor he knows better than the one in his own living room. Faced with a hailstorm of boos in Cleveland Thursday, LeBron James reacted by simply being the same player he was here for 7 seasons.
So many things went through my mind. I mean, it was a combination of a lot. I mean, I have nothing bad to say about these fans at all. So I understand their frustration, but I'm glad we played well.
It takes a special player and person to be able to respond to all of this scrutiny.
Through the years, superstars with something to prove have channeled their emotions differently. It was an angry Michael Jordan who dropped 55 against the Knicks after many doubted his ability to return from playing baseball. It was an emotional Brett Favre who vanquished his old team in his first return to Lambeau Field. James played it straight.
Just try to keep a clear head about it. It's nothing personal for myself to these fans. It won't be ever.
This is our brother coming back into a very emotional situation. You know, we knew that this guy right here was very mature, can handle himself in any situation. It seemed like he always rises to the occasions when things look at his darkest for him. And he did that again tonight.
When asked how he felt after the game, LeBron said, quote, very, very exhausted. He was too restless to get much sleep the night before the game, he said, and even his usual pregame nap involved more tossing and turning than actual rest. By the time he walked out of the arena, he seemed satisfied with how things had gone, but also satisfied it was now over. Stopping for a second, smiling, and then saying, on to the next one. In Cleveland, I'm Rachel Nichols, ESPN.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
That's a shout out to his boy Jay-Z, that on to the next one.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, I know you got that on your iPod.
My iPod, though, got left on the airplane.
Oh.
After the shouting, a laugher. That's what the Cleveland Plain Dealer had to say in the Miami Herald sports page. Homecoming King. Cleveland rocks, but would Miami roll with the Cavs' former frontman back in town?
It was homecoming for LeBron James, but no one in Cleveland was celebrating the King. Since the NBA schedule first came out, the date had been circled by Cavs fans who felt jilted by James' departure and insulted by the way he handled it. So after the decision and then the departure, Thursday brought the return. James said he couldn't sleep the night before or in the afternoon before the game. Heat took the court for pregame warm-ups, plenty of anti-LeBron signs inside Quicken Loans Arena. Fans probably couldn't sleep either, waiting for their chance to let the King hear it. And we take a listen to the introduction as he was introduced at Quicken Loans Arena.
6'8" from St. Vincent St. Mary High School, number 6, LeBron James.
Mo Williams trying to get the Cavaliers pumped up before the game. He said the inevitable message from James was that the Cavaliers just weren't good enough for him to stay. James did his powder routine, booed loudly by the Cleveland fans, something he used to do when he played there. Still got love for Anderson Varejao. He actually palled it up with the Cleveland players throughout the game. Playoff-like atmosphere. Here's his first touch. Fans were all over James all through the game, but then James was all over them. First shot attempt puts the Heat up 4-0. Later in the first, with the game tied at 17, he really starts to get it going. Look at the drive and the reverse finish. The Heat up 19-17. At that point, those are the kinds of plays used to get them off their feet in Cleveland. Late first quarter, the turnaround jumper. 8 points in a 16-0 Heat run. They got it awfully quiet in there. The Heat up 26-17 at that point. So let's take a look at his first quarter. If there were going to be any jitters, you figure they would come in the first quarter. 4 for 8, 10 points, varied his shots throughout the quarter. Here's what he said at halftime.
After 7 years of loyalty and devotion, how painful is it to be the target of all this animosity and hostility?
That's all right. I understand how passionate fans are. Still got a lot of love for these fans here. But I'm a Miami Heat player now. We're looking to get this win.
Heat up 59-40 at the half. James had 14 in the first half. Warming up for the second half, here are his thoughts on playing on the court.
I know that floor. I know my spots on that floor. I know exactly where I need to get to, where I feel comfortable on that floor. So I'm very comfortable with that court.
He looked comfortable everywhere on that floor in the third. The drive, lefty finish. Later, in transition, he'll get to the bucket, and he was just getting started. How about three? Bang, bang, bang. The Heat up 35 at that point. You wonder if the Cleveland fans are going to start booing their own team at some point. Bucket and the foul there. He said he wanted to be aggressive in the third quarter, stop the Cavaliers from making any possible run. Mission accomplished. This shot, high degree of difficulty. Antoine Jameson on him. The fadeaway from the corner. Shot that one from Shaker Heights. And then had a few words for the Cavaliers bench. 24 in the third, a Quicken Loans Arena record. LeBron on the bench, object flies out of the stands, lands right behind him. The Cavaliers bring in more security behind the Heat bench. That's where James stayed for the fourth quarter. No further incidents. Police said they had just one arrest and 4 ejections, but pretty much an uneventful night as far as fan interference was concerned, but a very eventful night as far as James was concerned. 38 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, no turnovers for the first time since last March. That's a span of 37 games. The Heat had just 9 turnovers as a team. They win in Cleveland for the first time in 6 trips there. James looked like he meant business, and afterwards he told the Cleveland fans it wasn't personal.
So many things went through my mind. I mean, it was a combination of a lot. I mean, I have nothing bad to say about these fans at all. 7 great years. There's nothing personal for myself to these fans. It won't be ever.